Assuming you've watched my previous video of the 3 most important things you need to do before tuning a car, we can go ahead and move on to the next section. So this section, I'm going to start off with an example. If you do not follow this example, catastrophic failure. Okay, it's not that bad. I'm kidding. It can be really bad, but everything will just make a little bit more sense just now. The example is kind of bonkers, okay? But it's a good example. Imagine it like this. You're walking down the street, someone faints. Okay, what do? You call 911, the ambulance comes, they throw the guy in the ambulance, he drives to the hospital, they put him on that hospital bed, into the hospital he goes. Now what they do is they push him into his section bay and they just start doing CPR on him. I mean, okay, the guy fainted. CPR is when he's dead. So now you're doing technically the wrong thing. You're busy here trying to get chest compressions, but meantime they never hooked up the machine. I mean, hook up the machine. Look at his blood pressure. Look if he has a pulse. Look at all of these vital information before you just go and do CPR. Maybe this guy just needs an adrenaline shot. Now you're doing CPR. Maybe he's just very tired and he's actually sleeping. We don't know. But you're just going into it blindly. You don't know what you're doing, but you're just doing something for the sake of trying to do something, and you might just make things even worse. So this is why this section is very important. The more you do it, the better it is. And that is data logging. That heart monitor, the blood pressure monitor, and all that kind of stuff, that is literally data logging. It's showing, let me just put my phone away, it keeps on vibrating. So that literally just shows you what the car is doing, how the car is responding to what you're telling it to do. You're telling the car, please boost more, I'm begging you. It's not boosting more. Why not? Oh, my engine load is capped. Okay, that's not good. And that means there's an engine load parameter in the way. I have to go and move that parameter up. I completely forgot to do that. That is how you know with data logging what's going on. You might sit in the car and you don't feel performance. You don't know what's going on. You just keep on adding more timing, more timing, more timing. Meantime, your knock retard is -20. You're taking this car to the grave and you don't even know about it. So data logging is very important. So what I'm going to do is, in the previous video I mentioned about those 3 steps, most important steps. We're going to go to step number 3. If you cannot remember what it is to data log the car before you start tuning it. That is exactly what we're going to do. I'm going to go and data log the car. I'm going to go down the road, put a car in 3rd gear, push it all the way from low RPM, still 7,000 RPMs. I'm going to get my log, I'm going to stop it, I'm going to come back home, and I'm going to put it in this data logging frame right over here. As you guys can see, it's empty. I'm going to put it in here. We're going to analyze and see what life support is the car needing to, well, yeah, let's go to the road. Do I call it an office? It used to be my gaming room. I don't know. Just trying to sound professional here. But anyway, one thing I quickly want to say is I cleaned up a bit. If you guys did notice in the first video, I told you guys I'm going to clean up as we go. There was 3 cups over there that I cleaned up. And also we sold the one 3D printer. So it's gone now. So we got 1 left. Nah, I'm just joking. We'll probably never sell the 3D printers. Busy in the other room just printing. But anyway, let's play a game. If you can spot the next thing I clean in this room in the next episode, if you can spot it first, I'll pin your comment. Everyone will see your comment at the top. Okay, so let's quickly start off with data logging. There's something I wanted to tell you guys earlier. I just never got to it, okay? And I said to myself, I'm not going to restart this whole video. So what I wanted to tell you guys is, please, you gotta learn your data logging software. When you look at what I'm looking at now, everything has to make 100% sense. You must know, okay, my engine coolant temperature is here. My MAF sensor reading is here. You need to look through all of this information here on the left-hand side and be like, I know what's going on. If you're not familiar about it or understand what it is, go and do some Google research. You gotta learn this. It's the same as the example I gave you guys. You got the guy into the hospital, you plug in the life support, and now you look at the screen like, I don't know what I'm looking at. If it's a situation like that, that person is going to die on that table. So you're going to make sure that you know what you're doing. Otherwise, you're just going to, you don't even have to data log in if you don't know what's going on. It's very important for you to know how you do things and make it very simple for yourself. HP Tuners allows you to literally enter anything you want and as much as you want. You can redesign this whole graph section to make it as you please. For example, just to go quickly through it, this has everything to do with my turbo. This has everything to do with my fuel. This has everything to do with my knock, my spark retard, and my timing. This has to do with my misfires, my intake cam, my miscellaneous, and even up here I've got my miscellaneous. Even here when I come to my graphs, here's my knock section, here's my turbo section, here's my fuel section. Like, I've done everything in such a manner that if I want to find out anything about my fueling, I know I just got to come to this graph over here, or I can just come to this section over here. Simple as that. So that's why I'm telling you guys, you got to know your data logging stuff. Otherwise, you're going to battle. It's going to take you longer to fault find. You're going to struggle to get what you want from the customer. You're going to waste time, and time is money. Only if you have clients. Otherwise, it's not money. There's no money. Then you can take your time. Okay, so going forward, we're going to quickly look at this log and see what it tells us. So over here, our engine coolant temperature. Okay, let's quickly start with the red. The red line over here is our RPMs. We don't really tune RPMs. RPMs is RPMs, but we use it as a reference to know, okay, if we add timing, maybe at a certain RPM, that's where we got to add timing or remove timing. So it's just being referred to as where in the tuning category you must tune. So looking at the engine coolant temperature, you can see we started off at 104 degrees Celsius. At maximum RPM, it dropped to 102 degrees Celsius, which tells us that as we're accelerating and all the air going through the radiator, the car is actually cooling down, which is good. Going then to our intake air temperature, you can see we started off at 21 degrees Celsius, but we ended at 36 degrees Celsius. So already at that point, you must know this intercooler in this car is insufficient enough. The perfect intercooler will keep a straight line, meaning that if it's 21 degrees Celsius, it will remain 21 degrees Celsius till the highest RPM when you let off, or if your intake air temperature actually goes down. Yes, it does happen. It really does happen where intake air temperature can go down. Also, you can use WaterMeth as another example to get your intake air temperatures down. So at the end of the day, it depends what you got to do, but you can tell the client that, look at this, your intake air temperatures are going up, your car is running hot, while the air that's coming in is just increasing in heat because your engine is working harder, your turbo is working harder, the exhaust gases is going up. You got to upgrade your intercooler. There we go. You already look like a superhero. Just there you can tell him you need a bigger intercooler. Going to the next part over here, this green line is our throttle position sensor. You can just see it, but I see it's basically flat all the way. You can also see it's 88.2%. On my car, for whatever reason, 88.2% is 100%. So yeah, from car to car it changes. So I just want to let you guys quickly know that on my car specifically, I've had my turbo upgraded and also got the stiffer wastegate spring into it. So you are going to see now my turbo boost is more. My wastegate is just going to drop, trying to like just get the boost down. For your car, which probably has a stock turbo, your car, the two lines should follow each other. In my case, my boost is more than my requested boost. Okay, so looking at it, the yellow line over here is my requested boost, meaning that when I put my foot down, it was requesting 1.027 bar boost, just say 1 bar boost. At that certain RPM range of 1850, our actual boost was 0.34, just call it 0.34 bar boost. So that is called boost lag. As the RPMs increased right over here somewhere, let's quickly try to see if we can get it. Right over here at 3,400 RPMs, we had the same boost of 1.162 request, actual boost of 1.162 bar. So which means that that's when we reach our boost. And because of the stiffer spring, you can actually see we shot up to 1.242 bar, 1.25 bar boost. 1.24 bar boost, whatever. That's what happens if you have got too many decimals. So yeah, then we actually overshot with the boost, and the whole way down, our actual boost was more. So looking at this red line, this is our wastegate. So the higher the percentage is, it means the harder the turbo is trying to work to get the boost up. And then you can just see it went from 82% bar boost when it just like completely overshot. And then if you follow it down, you can see it dropped to what, like 30%, 33% to trying to get the boost down, but we are still basically 0.1 bar above the requested boost. So that's because of the turbo upgrade and the stiffer wastegate spring. So we got to tune that in. Make sure that both of them follow each other. Also, like I would have been happy with a 1.2 bar boost, and then it drops off to 1 bar boost. Here it drops off to 0.65 bar boost. But because we have some wastegate over here, we can put some more duty cycle in it, request more boost. The wastegate will automatically go up, and then we can try to see if we can get 1 bar boost. Going over here, I want 1.2 bar boost, for example. That means the wastegate duty cycle is at 82.7%. So now you're thinking to yourself, okay, I'm already requesting less. And remember, this is the stock log, guys. This one wasn't tuned, it's stock, the stock file on my car. So then what I can do over here is on our wastegate, we've got like a maximum percentage. So I can just say I cap it at 70% maximum. That means the wastegate will be less, which means we'll quickly allow more air to go out and hopefully bring the actual boost down a bit. So that's how you can basically learn it and see and play around and get it right. But we'll go into more depth later in time. Looking at the knock, so right over here, you don't want to see knock ever. Knock is bad. You don't want knock. Right over here, we started to experience our first knock on cylinder number 1. It was at basically 3,000 RPMs. We started to receive knock, so which is not good. Just to let you guys know, even on my stock turbo, stock file, I still had some knock. So from the factory, there's a lot of ignition timing in our cars. So then going further, it just gets worse and worse and worse. I mean, like, look at that. What the heck? -5, -1, -5, -7. That is crazy. That's big numbers. Target is 0. If I see anything more than -0.3, I basically throw a fit. And we even see -7 basically here. So this I'm not happy about. So what does this tell us? Is that basically we got to pull some timing out. So there's kind of a cool trick about this that I'll learn you guys later in time. It's a factory adjustment that you need to know that can actually help you make more performance. I'll leave that for further in the future videos. So anyway, then yeah, you can just see here, this is really bad. It was supposed to be a flat red line. So this tells us with our next file, we definitely got to pull out some spark. There's way too much spark. And also it can be even worse like this because of the more boost. More boost, more heat into the system per intercooler, just more knock prone, and that's why we see so much timing being pulled. So that's what's happening over there. You can even see the blue line over here, like it started to, this line is supposed to be smooth, so this line is supposed to just go smoothly up, but you can see like it kind of like trying to get it up and then it dropped, and I kind of trying to just pull down more timing. You can see this massive dip here, pull down more timing and then trying to add some more timing and then pull down more timing again, trying to, so the whole spark system here is not good, and you can actually feel this in your drivability. Even if you look at your MAF sensor, just look at this, it just kind of like plateaued over here. You're having weird lumps over here. That's not because of the spark at all. That also has to do with your wastegate. As you can see, your wastegate over here kind of like opened a bit and it made that small little bump there in the MAF sensor. Even over here, we can see like it started, the boost started to drop off massively. That's where we get this flat line over here. It's not 100% flat, but kind of flat. And then at the end, where it just kind of like held the boost, it just kind of like picked up again. So we use our MAF sensors to, I use my MAF sensor to know that how does the car feel like driving it. Looking at this, it feels like the car is pulling, and it's got kind of like a small jerk into it because of this weird wastegate activity going on here. It like kind of pulls again, and then it just like kind of flats out. No power, and at the end, I can feel a bit more power. So I use my wastegate to imagine how it would feel, my MAF sensor, to know how it would feel like when I was inside the car. Going further, we look at our fueling. So you can see our fueling, our EQ command and our actual EQ actual, that's our lambda. So we're asking for 1 degree lambda here, and as we start to accelerate, you look at this green line, we were asking for 0.953 lambda. As you can see here, we're reaching the target. Honestly, this whole time you can see these two are just following each other. They're like almost identical on top of each other, which is absolutely amazing. Problem I'm having is you can see here it started to drop over here at 2,150 RPMs. Good, that's good. But here it started to drop, and here we were already at 3,600 and something RPMs, which was already at our maximum boost, and we are still running 0.95 lambda. Not good. That means our lambda, they call it our PE, our power enrichment, is kicking in way too late, because you need to know one thing: your fuel system needs to spray maximum fuel at maximum boost. Okay, not maximum fuel, but you gotta have the most fuel in your maximum boost areas as well as your maximum RPMs. So for example, if I'm targeting 0.85 lambda, I need it at my maximum boost, which is basically over here, where it's still 0.95. It was supposed to be 0.85 already. And I mean, that doesn't even include it starting to ramp up. And then also going over here at our highest RPM, we were asking for 0.76. that means we are fueling a lot. We are fueling literally 0.1 lambda too much. That's a lot. Now let me ask you why. Why is it feeling so much? So what happens is, and this is where you learn the cars, you learn the tuning as you go. Don't worry about it, we'll get there. But because there is so much knock, there's actually a tuning section where it says that if there's more than a certain amount of knock, it will just dump extra fuel into the car to try and get that the knock down. So that's basically what's happening over here. We're seeing an overfuel because of the amount of knock, because we have an overboost. Okay, so we're overfilling because of the knock. We're having a lot of knock because of bad fuel in the country, and then also because of our overboost. And you can just see how everything is just because of. So that's what's going on. And looking over here, our short-term fuel trims is -10, -7, -10. So we might have a little bit of a dirty mass sensor over here. We'll talk a little bit more about short-term fuel trims and long-term fuel trims later. You can actually see our long-term fuel trims is saying it needs to add more fuel, but then also the short-term fuel trims is pulling fuel out. So it's kind of like fighting each other. So we might have a kind of a dirty MAF sensor over here. And then this looking over here is basically our power. So stock we made 357 newtons, and then we made about 163 kilowatts of our stock file. So these numbers are not 100% accurate. It's just a ballpark kind of thing, like swing and hit, swing and miss kind of thing, where it might be kind of on set point but not really. But it's just an indication at the end of the day to know that, okay, we had 356 newtons now. Okay, with our modified file we have 390 newton meters. That means there is actually an increase in power. Or now all of a sudden you see 320 newtons. You're like, okay, the car didn't feel good, and it shows me it didn't do good, and you know, okay, I'm going the wrong direction. So that's basically what it is. So we can zoom in more, but I just feel like this was a really good indication to show you everything over here. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna move to the next stage of tuning this car. We're gonna leave it for the next video. So anyway, remember to find out what's the next thing that I clean in this room. If you get it right and you're first, I'll pin your comment. And there we go. Thank you guys. Learn your data logging software is the most important thing. You need to know what you're looking at, need to know where is what is what. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.